Okay, I want to add on some additional commentary. One of the criminal acts that the entity is engaging in, as it is providing both at the same time an ongoing admission, it's literally a concession. This is how while the entity engages in the criminal pattern of conduct, it's an ongoing legal analysis is underway, just like you would analyze any other stalker's criminal conduct. But this is no ordinary stalker; it's the government, and the government is engaged in an ongoing criminal conspiracy in concert with the people of the state, as they have been termed. Now, the significance of engaging in what is arriving in all of my videos, not only is it the criminal system underway, it is also intentionally done with the intent to threaten, with the intent to obstruct justice. There's no appearance of any innocence. The entity is literally admitting to what is being captured about it. But I also want to remind you, so I'm going to speak to that, because the entity also would rather me focus on it. This is literally, you're talking about the lesser of two evils. There's a level of desperation at play here, and I want to point that out to you. In the specific environment where the entity's arriving in every video, the entity does not want me to speak about, for example, at 10:31 a.m., and that's what I want you to be mindful of. Again, I will stress what I'm pointing out on a day-to-day basis, which is all that I have the capability to do as a human being subject to a pattern of conduct. As I go, so the entity follows. I am literally the leader. You have stalkers that are following me. The environment follows me. The activity creation follows me. As I do it, so it occurs. Okay, where I go, so the environment follows and remains. And so I want to be clear as I'm documenting. And you're looking at, I want to specifically mention 10:31 in the morning. You're going to remember San Bernardino. I mentioned it in that video captured today, April 9th, 2024, in reference to what was captured April 9th, 2022, and the day before, April 8th, 2022. But I want you to remember what I captured at 10:28, 10:30 in the morning. San Bernardino Sheriff's Department was stalking in the same exact manner that you see LAPD doing. And what the entity is engaging in, and I want to be clear because this is also relevant to the ways in which you're going to prosecute, the criminal mindset behind literally providing what is equally foolish, a concession and admission. Yes, you're at the same time confessing to what is beyond any coincidence. You're arriving in the specific environment, stalking in a helicopter. While I'm talking about you arriving, as I start documenting, publishing, you're arriving in the video. But I want you to be clear, the entity also doesn't want me to point out that ongoing criminal conduct that was already captured. Would rather me focus on them here today in 2024 than remind you about the fact. But again, I'm dealing with some higher intelligence, advanced people. I'm speaking to the federal government. But I will go ahead and make this video. But I am speaking to those, but I'm also speaking to those that are witnessing. Everyday people, this is for you too, because you need to understand what's surrounding you. You need to understand the level of evil that you are working with. And it's not to be fearful of, it's just to sharpen you, okay? And so what I want to make sure I make a video. And while the entity was arriving in the video at 10:31 a.m., again, literally as I'm on my phone, I'm looking at the video, I'm recalling where was I at 10:31 a.m. I'm going to make a video today on the same day in 2024. They're looking at my phone at the same time. The entity does not want me to, wants to be like, it's like this. Ooh, look over here. That's what that's the tactic that's at play. Okay. You're going to prosecute for that. That's the intent to obstruct justice. That's intimidation. That's harassment as an entity that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's also monitoring a violation of Title 18. Communication devices, the intent to place under surveillance, the intent to emotionally disturb, torment. This is all Title 18 language while they're monitoring ongoing documentation. And what I want to speak to is that this goes without saying, but I will go ahead and mention it because this is what the entity is also doing. But like, this is futile, and that's the psychopath. Because this goes without saying. I did mention in my videos, not only at 10:30 am I at the Fontana Lewis Library today in 2022 at 10:30. I also reminded you yesterday, April 8th, 2022, I'm walking out of that same venue at the same entrance, and the light source you'll still see there. So that's 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 hours later, over 7 hours later, the light source is still there. You see the Fontana PD engaging in the same thing that LAPD is doing. Stalking, terrorizing, being sex offenders in the specific environment where the sun is never going to be present over one building entrance. Okay, that's not sunlight and that's not the sun. But I also want to speak to what I did not specifically mention. And this goes without saying, but I'm going to go ahead and point it out because I also want to make sure I establish all of the facts remain interrelated. Okay? You're not forgetting what happened the day before and the day before that and the day before that. That's the significance of the pattern of conduct. Okay. And as the entity was stalking by a helicopter, San Bernardino Sheriff's Department at the same time in Rancho Cucamonga. After I left the state facilitating venue of the DMV at 9:06 a.m., the light source is over me. So the next day on the 9th, I go from Ontario at the Shiro's Liquor, and I am, that's at 8:38, approximately 8:38 a.m., and I get on Route 61. And in that video in 2022, I'm mentioning the fact that I was at the DMV. I am mentioning that. I'm covering that. Today in 2024, I'm mentioning where I was at on this day in 2022. This is ongoing, consistent documentation. And at 10:31 a.m., it's not possibly the sun, and it is within the pattern of conduct. Literally, while the LAPD is giving a shout out to its prosecution and exposure on the world scene, while it is at the same time giving a concession, literally an admission. This has legal significance against its co-conspirator, the people of the state. All 59 units at Alvarado Gardens engaged in 24-hour surveillance. You have 1808 number 2. That is Yu Kim coming out, getting at his accessing his vehicle to create light activity. The entity would rather focus on it today rather than make that ongoing juxtaposition with what the entity was doing before. Not, first of all, the target individual doesn't have to be this sophisticated for the federal government to prosecute. Okay, but I want to go out and point out the criminal mindset, the intent to obstruct justice. The ordinary targeted individual does not have to be that sophisticated. That's what you have the federal government for. Okay, you're talking about ordinary people who all we need to do is just let us know what's going on. Excuse me, let them know what's going on, and the federal government can take it from there. It's my role to let you know what's going on, and this is the ways in which this malicious entity operates. And while they are, this is criminal. They're arriving in all the videos. Not only are they engaged in the pattern of conduct, it is with the criminal mindset. It's not just LAPD in the helicopter. You're looking at the people of the state that are pacing all around with the intent to obstruct justice. They want to be like, ooh, look over here, look over here. That's the intent to obstruct justice, because they don't want you to remember the fact that the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department at the same time at Hellman and 9th Street in Rancho Cucamonga was stalking, engaging in terrorism, engaging in harassment as an entity, following me in a helicopter. That is arriving in the specific environment, which is captured by the light source, which is right over my head. The specific environment is also identified where the people of the state in that video on April 7th, 2022, you're looking at the people driving a truck, stalking in the path with their hazard lights on. That's the maintenance of the specific environment. That's what the demon possessed do, stalking your path with light. That's what the entity is doing. I'm capturing the light source. That's what's going on in the whole environment, which is speaking to a population of demons who are keeping you under surveillance. Okay, so you're looking at San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and those two state actors who are demon possessed, engaging in what is stalking an American citizen. They are wearing badges, bearing weapons in a state vehicle, stalking somebody. It's both pathetic and highly terrorizing at the same time. The light source is captured over me, and this is what you're mindful of. While today, the entity would like to engage in constantly right. So I want to be clear. There's a lot going on while the entity is arriving in the video, and it is, again, no, like I said before, no federal court's going to dismiss that. It's clearly an admission that the target individual cannot make it up. Okay, they're definitely monitoring, and they're definitely admitting the fact that yes, we're stalkers and we are obsessed stalkers, and I am chasing you down like the animal that they are. That's all they're saying, all of that, and that's a threat to your life while the government makes that statement. Okay, but I also want to be clear. They would rather focus on what's going on in 2024 than speak of in those videos, okay, because that's powerful documentation. It's equally powerful. I'm dealing with an advanced agency, the federal government, and I have full confidence in their ability to connect the dots. Okay, but I will capture this video. It is currently, by the way, because this is also relevant documentation. The light source isn't going anywhere. It's 11:31, and the light source is right here. April 9th, 2022, I remain at the Fontana Lewis Library. April 8th, 2022, I'm inside of the Fontana Lewis Library, and I exit at 5:49 p.m. The light source remains there. That in and of itself, the sun would never be here at the at Alvarado Gardens, which is speaking to the pattern of conduct. It's established prima facie. You also have prima facie because of the state's stalking conduct. All right, it's directly incriminating the people of the state. Like I said, I just wanted to give a minor discussion on that. You will remember and recall directly the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, who are stalking while the entity is engaging in that hallmark group stalking by law enforcement. That's what San Bernardino Sheriff's Department are doing. As I'm capturing at 10:31 a.m. on April 7th, 2022. I'm just going day by day, but you are never forgetting what has already been captured. It's creating a large picture. You are looking at the forest. at all times. You were looking at the forest. But the entity is also maintaining that light source while I'm capturing it again on April 9th when I go to the Fontana Lewis Library. That is directly speaking to and prosecuting San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, who are at the same time in Rancho Cucamonga at 9th and Hellman, where the sun is not hovering over the roof of the Fontana Lewis Library. That's the whole point of the documentation, and that goes without saying. I want to point out and prosecute for what is the criminal intent to obstruct justice while the LAPD is both at the same time monitoring on camera, literally as I narrated, they engage in it, in the specific environment, incriminating the people of the state with an unlawful intent, that mens rea. You're going to prosecute that intent to obstruct justice and wants to avoid you conversing about and juxtaposing with what the entity was doing in Rancho Cucamonga, for example. Desperate to, but like I said, that's feckless. It's futile. It's desperation. You're talking about you would rather admit, which is to the demise of everybody that's going to federal prison here. Everybody's going to federal prison at Alvarado Gardens. Everybody, okay? It prosecutes the whole entity. And like I said, it's literally futile. I'm not talking to amateurs. I'm talking to the federal government. I am talking to those who are also learning. American citizens in this country, you need to learn about what's going on, yes. But we're talking about an advanced government agency that is fully capable of connecting the dots. Literally, I know all you need me to do is blow the whistle and give you the information, and that's what I'm doing. And anyway, it's currently 11:33 a.m. This is P.O.C.